Good evening. We are now just hours away from a potential TTC strike, which could cause the city to grind to a halt.
Today, the union says talks are at an impasse, though at this point, those talks are still ongoing. CTV's Mike Walker is live tonight outside the Sheridan Centre, where both sides remain at the table. Mike?
Well, Sean, Michelle, we're getting different perspectives from both sides. In its latest update just a short time ago, the transit union says there's been no progress in negotiations and its members are prepared to move forward with strike action after midnight. But the TTC is optimistic a deal can be reached in the final hours. On the afternoon commute over whether transit will be an option tomorrow amid a potential TTC strike.
This will be unfortunate minutes for us as we are having some appointments and work.
I can't get to school without TTC and it would impact me horribly.
Both sides remain at the bargaining table, but the transit union says negotiations are at an impasse.
We have a situation right now where the TTC is bargaining not to get a deal. It seems as though they're bargaining to have the inevitable, that us walking out, and we will be walking out at midnight and taking our labor services away because this is what it seems like the TTC is trying to do.
Nearly 12,000 bus drivers, streetcar and subway operators are ready to walk off the job after midnight if a deal isn't reached. The union says little progress has been made on the key issues, including job security, contracting out work, benefits, and wages.
The offers have strings attached. It doesn't matter what they're offering, but if and when it comes to actually signing a deal and you're looking at the paperwork and there's things there, we actually had things fall apart in less than 24 hours.
We're very serious about this. We do not want a labor disruption.
The TTC has a different take on negotiations and believes talks are progressing at a point where a strike can be averted.
We're head down, we're negotiating. They have some issues that they want resolved, and we have to talk through them.
But with that being said, all sides are urging transit riders to have backup plans in place. Arriving at City Hall on two wheels today, promoting Bike to Work Week, Mayor Olivia Chow recognizes the stakes are high, but remains optimistic.
They are talking. I hope they are making progress. I have faith that they would work things out, I hope.
A sentiment echoed by the TTC chair, who points to previous deals with transit unions that were reached at the 11th hour.
We suspect they're going to go right up until the deadline, maybe even a couple hours past, but we think we're going to get there. We think we're in good shape.
If transit workers strike, it would be the first time since 2008. That ended quickly, with the provincial government then imposing back-to-work legislation. Ontario's Labour Minister says a mediator is on standby, but wouldn't say if the province would take further action to end a strike.
My role is to ensure we have a mediator. Mediator is available, and we sincerely hope that both parties land a deal.
For now, transit riders are scrambling to find alternatives.
So I work from home on Fridays, so I'll be fine. Otherwise, I'll ride my bike to work.
Either Uber or just get a ride.
With just hours left to reach a deal. Now, if there is a strike, the union says in its latest update that passengers won't have access to subway, streetcars, and buses after midnight, but did note that subway service will end as regularly scheduled after 2 a.m. and Wheel-Trans will not be affected by a strike. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Still ahead tonight, just how bad has traffic become since work on the Gardiner began? A GTA company has used GPS tracking to crunch the numbers, and the results show just how long it is taking people to get around. Our Natalie Johnson will have more in moments.
But first, one man is dead after being struck by a vehicle in the West End this morning.
The driver of that vehicle took off, and now police are looking for both the vehicle and its driver. Our John Musselman is live tonight with the latest. John.
Well, Michelle, we do have some new information. We have now learned that the victim was a 48-year-old man, and police are looking for a dark-colored Volkswagen GTI. On Ronsonsville Avenue, he says he heard a loud crashing sound and voices yelling. He knew something was wrong.
Oh, and then somebody yelling for someone to stop, lots of swearing, and the voice just sort of tailing off in the distance as they ran. At the moment, I didn't know what was happening, but I think they were chasing after the car.
Toronto police say a 48-year-old pedestrian was struck by the vehicle. It headed south on Ronsonsvale near Hewitt Avenue just after 5 a.m. The victim died at the scene. The driver did not stop. Police are looking for a dark-colored Volkswagen GT. It was last seen heading west on Howard Park Boulevard.
Oh, that's awful. That is awful. This should never happen, no matter what. I mean, there is a hospital just down the street. If this happened, They should have just put that person in the car and go right away to the hospital.
It's no good. It's absolutely terrible, and it's unacceptable. Yeah, it was about, I guess, 5:30 a.m. I heard some commotion.
Horrible. I mean, I consider this is like one of the worst intersections that I'm aware of in the city for just constant minor traffic violations. People are making bad turns, and it's just, awful.
Police canvassed the area businesses for any surveillance video, which led to them finding that surveillance video of the car wanted in connection with this fatal hit and run. Now, again, police say the security video may be a key here. It's difficult to see a license plate, but there may be damage to that car. If you know anything about it or have any information, you're asked to call Toronto Police or Crime Stoppers. Reporting live at the scene, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Taking a look over the waterfront tonight, switching gears into what is a beautiful summer day. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. Jess.
Hey, it is beautiful. We've seen the rain hold off for the most part as we've made our way throughout our day. We had it early on this morning. The chance lingers into the evening, but the bulk of that initial system, that initial cold front, has pushed its way further east. But behind it, there is another one set to bring some messy weather. And it's a little breezy out there. Wind sustained right now just under 30 kilometers out of the west, but those gusts a little closer to 50. So it is a breezy end to our day. Temperature-wise, around southern Ontario, for the most part, it is a little closer to seasonal. We still are contending with a humidex, but it's not nearly as hot as it was yesterday. We are going to experience a bit of a shift, a bit of a cool down, and we dip below seasonal pretty significantly in the next few days. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, including what you can expect as we head in towards the weekend. But right now, it's back to Sean and Michelle.
Thanks, Jess. Well, we have breaking news from Queen's Park tonight, where the Ford government has just unveiled a major cabinet shuffle.
This is the last day of the session before members go on summer break, but some of those members now have new roles. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live there tonight with the specifics on the shakeup. Siobhan.
Well, the biggest change that people will notice is a face that is so familiar to so much of our audience, Stephen Lecce, who's been the education minister for 6 years now, through many rounds now of contract negotiations with education unions. He's out of that portfolio now, changing spots with Todd Smith. So Stephen Lecce is your new Minister of Energy and Electrification. We spoke with him just a few minutes ago, and definitely he is setting the groundwork for what we've been talking about so much the last few weeks at Queen's Park, the possibility of an early election. He talked about the need to get Ontario electrified, to add energy supply as the province is growing. He says it's an existential threat, and of course the province will be in trouble, but he took no time, or wasted no time rather, attacking Bonnie Crombie, who of course the PCs have dubbed the carbon tax queen, and really striking again at the federal carbon tax. A couple other changes to keep in mind. Stan Cho, who had been the Minister of Long-Term Care, he's out of that portfolio now with one that looks at tourism, gaming, and he trades spots, or rather taking over long-term care, is Natalie Kuzendova, who had been a nurse before becoming a politician. You might remember she actually went back to the front lines during the COVID-19 pandemic. Here again is a little bit more of what we heard from Stephen Lecce speaking on behalf of this renewed cabinet.
I'm honored to serve as Minister of Energy and Electrification, and I know all members of Cabinet are too, as we deliver on the agenda the people of Ontario sent us to deliver, which is affordability, a reliable supply of energy, the construction of infrastructure of hospitals and roads and highways, and that's the commitment that we are making today, renewing that commitment to the people of Ontario on behalf of our Premier as we continue to build our province.
So the ministers will have a lot of time to learn their new portfolios and be out in their communities. The House, this was the last day the legislature was sitting. They won't be back here at Queen's Park until October 21st. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. It's a literal sign of frustration hung over the Gardiner. Only 3 more years, it reads, a warning to motorists going slowly below.
Tonight, we have a better idea of just how slow things are going, thanks to a GTA company using GPS to measure traffic movement. CTV's Natalie Johnson reports.
For weeks, Toronto's been talking about just how bad the Gardiner gridlock has gotten. now new data confirm the latest round of repairs has had an astounding impact on vehicle travel times.
Up here you can see we're connected to 4.2 million vehicles.
Oakville telematics giant Geotab started crunching the numbers on the congestion, using its GPS fleet tracking data and artificial intelligence to assess just how much the Gardiner lane restrictions between Dufferin and Strawn were affecting the drive.
Certainly there's that massive slowdown there, and we thought, you know what? Let's have a look at the data. Let's discover it a little bit, see what we can find there.
The finding, since the construction began 2 months ago, commercial travel times on the Gardiner have increased a whopping 250% during the morning rush hour and 230% during the afternoon commute.
The numbers are staggering, but they're not surprising, and it confirms what we've been hearing from residents across the city and, in fact, the entire region. A 250% increase in travel time during peak periods is just devastating.
You can see on this Geotab dashboard, there are currently 960,000 active vehicles on this map worldwide. The company used 10,000 of those data points to track the impact of the Gardiner construction.
It now takes 20 minutes instead of 8 to get from the Humber River to Strawn, and 25 minutes up from 11 to get from Jarvis to Dufferin. Commercial drivers now spending 80% more time per day on the Gardiner.
It's a huge draw from a productivity perspective. We've got fleets doing like last mile delivery, right? Service and repair. Imagine this person sitting in the vehicle spending that much more time on the road, what it does to them mentally, what it does to the productivity of their workday.
It's having them rethink their footprint, their office footprint downtown, which is also detrimental to our downtown core and the thriving economy that it once was.
City Council voted last month to look at accelerating the 3-year construction schedule. An update is due back in July.
There's a team that are meeting urgently together with the provincial government. They've been extremely cooperative. We are pulling all our resources together, both the province and the city, and bringing in international expert to assist us.
Geotab, meanwhile, points out that the stats and the science to inform the discussion exist right here in the GTA.
It's management by measurement. We can use management by measurement to help keep Toronto moving.
Intelligent data that could help unlock gridlock if Toronto City Hall can leverage it. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
There was an unexpected sight for residents at a Vaughan townhouse complex last night. Police say a large sinkhole was discovered at a playground in the neighborhood not far from McNaughton Road and Keele Street. Fire services were called to the site around 10:30 p.m. and the area was roped off. No injuries reported here. Local officials say an underground stormwater retention tank is located here and the property owner is investigating just what took place.
While a pro-Palestinian encampment remains in place at the University of Toronto, police stepped in to remove a newly formed one at York University. Police shared the news on social media, writing this morning, York University served a trespass notice to protesters who erected an unauthorized encampment on their property yesterday. York University requested police assistance after making it clear the encampments on their property are not permitted. Police say around 40 protesters left the encampment when directed. One returned and was arrested under the Trespass to Property Act.
To be clear, the University of Toronto has also said the encampment on its campus is unwelcome, but Toronto police recently clarified they weren't confident they had the legal authority to step in there when the school issued a trespass notice. The service indicated that was due to specifics around how the situation there unfolded. A judge will hear U of T's request for a court order on removing the encampment later this month. Demonstrators have said they will not leave until the school meets their demands on cutting ties with Israel.
Toronto's mayor was among those taking part in a late afternoon prayer walk today for those 5 men shot in Etobicoke on Sunday.
2 of the men have died, and today another spoke for the first time about the incident and his injuries. CTV's Janice Golding has more.
And we ask, mighty God, for healing will take place in this family.
Police, family, friends, and members of the community joined in prayer this afternoon, gathering to share their grief, their hopes and fears following a mass shooting over the weekend.
That whoever did that, we need to bring them to justice. I believe they're cowardly to just shoot a group of people just playing dominoes.
Let me be really clear that the full resources of the Toronto Police are being made available to the investigators, and we will be standing with this community shoulder to shoulder.
56-year-old Baldwin Thomas was one of the victims, shot once in the head and 3 times in the back.
I was one of the guys who was standing, watching the guys playing domino after a game of soccer. And then, after about 10 o'clock, going to 11 o'clock, I thought it was a firecracker coming across here. But then when I got the first hit, I realized that it was a gunshot.
What did you see?
So I say, let's run, took off.
I'm glad he's alive and I'm glad he's okay. It's really upsetting about the other two guys because they were like our family. And, we all grew up here, all of their kids. So it was just really weird to see that this happened.
On Sunday night, upwards of 50 shots rang out in the parking lot of North Albion Collegiate just before 11 p.m. 5 members of this soccer team would be shot. 61-year-old Delroy George Parks, whom family describe as a devoted husband, father of 7 and grandfather of 12, would die that evening after being shot twice in the back. Meanwhile, family tells CTV News 46-year-old Seymour Gibbs, who'd been shot in the legs 3 times, died yesterday in hospital. The father of 6, whose youngest is less than a year old, was to undergo a second surgery in the morning. Sunday's school shooting, one of 3 gun attacks that took place in the area over the weekend. 7 people struck by bullets in total, with untold numbers of friends and community members wounded emotionally. Today's prayer walk intended to be a moment of healing for a community scarred by gun violence.
Just giving thanks, I'm here.
But the answer to their prayers, elusive. The violence in the area is escalating. No suspects have been apprehended, and residents and families continue to be traumatized. Janice Golding, CTV News.
The so-called crypto king is still hiding assets and should pay millions before he can get out of bankruptcy.
That's what lawyers for a trustee alleged in court today as a judge granted an order to get passwords to Aiden Pleterski's cryptocurrency accounts. John Woodward has the latest.
Driving a McLaren race car in Los Angeles, golfing in Miami, shopping in London. Social media posts tell the story of self-described crypto king Aiden Pleterski living large, even though he's in bankruptcy. Trustee Grant Thornton is trying to track what's left of some $40 million he's alleged to have taken from investors in a Ponzi scheme, less the $15.9 million they say he spent on his lifestyle. Filings show they're hunting for a $360,000 Astronomia casino watch Pleterski says he's sold. $13,000 worth of scene points he said he used to pay for hotels and flights. $280,000 on video game customizations called Steam skins he says he faked. And other assets the trustee accuses him of hiding from them. The trustee's lawyers asked the judge Thursday for an order giving access to Pleterski's accounts on a video game platform and a cryptocurrency exchange, saying he shouldn't be allowed out of bankruptcy unless he coughs up $4.3 million. Pleterski has said he just lost the money in a series of bad trades. His lawyers asked for more time, saying he's busy dealing with the criminal charges of fraud and money laundering laid last month.
It's one step at a time.
Lawyer Norman Group says a half-dozen investors will soon launch new civil claims that could follow Pleterski for life.
Mr. Pleterski's a young guy. Lots of time to attempt a recovery.
Pleterski at one point beaten. He told the trustee he doesn't want to say where he's living because it's information that could jeopardize mine or my friend's safety. It's hard to tell where Pleterski's most recent videos were recorded, as he may now be shifting to a lower profile. John Woodward, CTV News.
Here in Toronto and around the world, many are reflecting on a landmark anniversary, marking 80 years since a crucial victory of the Second World War, known as D-Day. Canadians were among an Allied force of troops who stormed and secured a key stretch of the Nazi-occupied French coast that day. A commemoration service was held this afternoon at the Victory Peace Monument in Coronation Park. The mayor laid a wreath, as did members of the Canadian Forces and family of Second World War veterans.
And Canada's largest veterans hospital also marked the anniversary of D-Day this afternoon. Residents of Sunnybrook Veterans Centre on Bayview Avenue attended a ceremony to rededicate the site's cenotaph, which was recently renovated. The center is home to 200 veterans who served in the Second World War, Korean War, and during the Cold War. Family and dignitaries were also in attendance, and there was a military flyover honoring the sacrifices made on June 6, 1944.
And at the beach, where the Canadians came ashore, a somber offering of gratitude and reverence for the incredible bravery and sacrifice on that day.
A ceremony was held at Juno Beach, attended by a delegation of Canadian D-Day veterans commemorating loss and victory at the place they liberated. CTV's Joy Malbon reports.
On a day to celebrate the last living witnesses to a battle that arguably changed the world, there was symbolism and skydivers, but only a handful of Canadian veterans who were actually there. Boots on the ground, storming the beaches of Normandy, on the sea and in the air. Their average age now, 100. Greeted by royalty.
Standing here today in peaceful silence, it is almost impossible to grasp the courage it would have taken to run into the fury of battle that very day.
Canadians pushing, persisting, determined in a campaign to free France, but it came at a terrible cost. 359 Canadians killed on D-Day alone. Thousands more in the battles to come found their resting place here.
There are no words to describe the immensity of the debt we owe you.
The Prime Minister greeting Canada's most decorated veteran, General Richard Romer. 13 veterans in military uniform have made the trip. Captain Bill Wilson was part of the Allied landings in Normandy. He remembers.
It was a bloody shame, all those kids getting killed, I'll tell you. Sitting out there on the water, seeing all those landing craft going in to land on the beach, knowing damn well that the Germans were waiting for them by that time.
What an honor to see you here. This likely their last chance to return to the beaches, to remember those kids and the soldiers that were lost. A last opportunity, perhaps, to celebrate the few survivors left as their memory becomes history, passing that torch of remembrance to a future generation. Joy Malbon, CTV News, Juno Beach.
In central Gaza, Israeli airstrikes killed at least 33 people overnight at a school sheltering displaced Palestinian families. The school is run by the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, known as UNRWA. Israel said it was being used as a Hamas compound without providing evidence. The military later said it was not aware of any civilian casualties. Another strike on a house overnight killed 6 people, according to hospital records. Both attacks occurred in Mizarat, one of several built-up refugee camps in the territory.
Here in Canada, more than 9,000 border workers are poised to begin job action tomorrow afternoon. Both sides have until 4 p.m. to get a deal done. Most of the workers are considered essential, so they can't walk out, but they can launch work-to-rule campaigns, slowing the movement of people and goods across the border. The union says it wants wages comparable to other law enforcement agencies and changes to workers' retirement plans, and flexible online and remote work options. Negotiations are continuing.
Mission accomplished. Boeing's new capsule has arrived at the International Space Station. The link-up happened this afternoon, 420 kilometers above Earth. It is the first test flight of the Starliner craft with astronauts on board. The docking was delayed by an hour when 4 of the capsule's 28 thrusters malfunctioned, but the 2 astronauts managed to restart 3 of them. There were also 3 helium leaks.
Meanwhile, the world's largest and most powerful rocket lifted off from Texas this morning. The empty SpaceX Starship successfully completed its first full test flight. It was the 4th launch. The first 3 ended in explosions. This time, the rocket and the spacecraft splashed down as planned following the hour-long flight. NASA and SpaceX are counting on Starship to get humans to the moon and Mars.
Coming up on CTV News, a sneak peek at new series coming to CTV. Our Andrea Case chats with some of the stars of the full lineup, from comedy to action and competition.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, many people have already switched their winter tires to summer tires, but if you did you go back and get your wheels retorqued? It's recommended, but not everyone does it. A man says a wheel just came off his car, causing major damage. I'll have my reports just ahead.
And it's been a warm few days. Toronto actually the hot spot today in the province. But as we step into the day tomorrow, a bit of a shift takes place and we are cooling down as we head in towards the weekend. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, and stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Well, it's something many vehicle owners have to do every spring. That's switching from winter tires to summer ones.
Many tire shops recommend getting your wheels checked again after making the switch, but a lot of drivers don't bother. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Sean and Michelle, it's recommended you get your wheels retorqued after a tire change, but many people either forget or feel it's not necessary. One driver was shocked when his wheel came off and severely damaged his car. When a tire comes off a vehicle, it can have catastrophic consequences. To try and prevent wheel separations, many tire shops ask customers to return following a tire switch after driving about 100 kilometers. The wheels are then retorqued to make sure they're tight.
The tire just sort of came right off.
Last month, Greg Pulver had his winter tire switched to summers at an oil change shop that also offered tire services. 5 days and 250 kilometers later, the front wheel came loose from his car.
It was pretty scary, to be honest. You don't expect it, right?
When the wheel came off, there was damage to the wheel hub, fenders, and undercarriage, totaling $6,700. Pulver complained to the tire shop the wheel must have been installed incorrectly.
If the tires are put on properly, there shouldn't really be that concern.
But the tire shop told him, we always emphasize with high importance that a retorque must be done between 40 to 100 kilometers. Pulver says while a retorque was suggested, he didn't feel it was mandatory.
I really feel like if they thought it was that important that it be done, that they would have put it on the receipt.
The new procedure that we have in place, it takes away the necessity of coming back.
Cal Tire says because some customers don't come back to have their wheels checked, it changed to a new procedure which doesn't require retorquing after 100 kilometers. Instead, the wheels are torqued to proper specifications and then a second torque check is performed.
We torque those lug nuts on the hoist when we first fix that wheel on there. We back it off, apply the brakes firmly, put the vehicle in park, then we check all the lug nuts again. So that they've been torqued to spec 2 times before they leave our site.
Pulver says his insurance company has written off his car and he'll have to buy another one. He still feels the tire shop he used should compensate him for the damage to his car. And using a torque wrench is important because if the lug nuts are not tight enough, they can come loose while driving. But also, if they're too tight, they can strip or damage the bolt threads and the rotors. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
One of the 3 of us had our tires retorqued this season. Who do you think it is? You did, right? You're so good. You always follow the advice.
Listen, I would never hear the end of it. Hi, Carlton. Hi to my dad. I would never hear the end of it if I did not. But it's also one of those things that it's part of my, getting ready for summer routine. You switch those tires off, and then you get out on the road and you get them retorqued. But temperature-wise, if you were in the car today, you needed AC. I don't know about you guys, but I went out. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. It was hot today. And one of those things where you want to get out and enjoy it, but do it safely. The UV index was super high today, so even though it wasn't brilliantly sunny all day, it didn't matter. You can still get a burn on a day like this, so sun protection really key. The good news is if you don't like the heat, just wait until tomorrow. Weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. Now, we are going to see another cold front swing through, bringing another round of showers, but not nearly as heavy as they were the first round that made it through last night. Temperature-wise today, it's been another humid one, but closer to seasonal. Right now, we're sitting at 25. It feels like 26, so the humidex still a factor, but lesser than it was yesterday. Northern Ontario still experiencing the heat. Peawanuck is at 23. It feels like 28. Moosonee, 18, feeling like 23. As we head into our evening, again, we're a little closer to seasonal. Not quite there, but we're warm or cooler than we have been over the past few days. We'll be at 15 tonight. We should be at 13. Everyone experiencing a little bit of a cool down, and this is kind of the leading edge of some cooler air that gets ushered in. after the next cold front. To the day tomorrow, we dip below seasonal for the first time in quite a few days. We'll sit at just 20. The norm is 23. Gardner's down to 17 through Hamilton. They'll be at 19. Everybody cooling down just a little bit. There's that first wave of showers, that first cold front that made its way through. The secondary one, a little less intense, but it's still bringing rain. So just keep your umbrella handy as you head throughout the day tomorrow. Behind it, a little bit cooler air. Not cold, just cool. As we head through the rest of our evening, just a few light clouds out there. A beautiful night ahead of us into the start of the day tomorrow. Scattered showers north and east of the city, and then we're just looking at rain off and on throughout the GTA. Nothing super organized, nothing super heavy, but just, again, keep your umbrella handy. We are just shy of seasonal tomorrow, and then we start to do a bit of a yo-yo as we head throughout the weekend at or just below seasonal. Throughout your Saturday, sunny to start. It's as we head into the evening that we see the round of rain move in. So if you have daytime plans Saturday, speaking to someone earlier, they wanted to do some gardening, you got to do that in the first half of the day. And then the rain moves in into the evening. If you want to cut your grass, do it early in the day before it rains. As we head into Sunday, more showers on the way. So this is just kind of a semi-soggy weekend ahead of us. As we head in towards your Saturday, Sunday, a bit of a cool down. Monday, just 16, but hey, we'll just block it all off with my body. I'll stand here. We're going to focus on next week, and it gets pretty nice. Sean.
Thanks, Jess. And I was the one who had to do the gardening she was talking about. Also tonight, new guidance on eating disorders, what the Canadian Pediatric Society wants doctors to do amid an increase in cases. Welcome back. Markham Stouffville Hospital has embarked on a $3.1 million fundraising campaign to build a new inpatient mental health unit for kids and teens.
And they just got a big donation towards that. Here's our health reporter, Pauline Chan.
I think I can kind of distract my brain by doing my Rubik's Cube a little bit.
A video played at the fundraising announcement shows how far 18-year-old Luther Wood has come since he first came to Markham Stouffville's emergency department earlier this year. The grateful teen is now preparing to go to university to study his passion, linguistics.
I wasn't able to manage my own self and take care of myself to get through those things, let alone imagining the future and what that might be for me.
His mom, Julia, says for Luther and many other teens, it's a daily struggle.
We had been to the doctor, we had medication, we were seeing like private counselors, we had all the apps, all the workbooks, all the everything that we had at our fingertips. We were using those, and Luther was feeling worse and worse every day.
That's why the family supports the need for inpatient services. If Luther hadn't been able to get enough support from the hospital's outpatient program, known as Atlas, he may have had to travel to Barrie or Toronto or Newmarket.
There is no given night, including last night when I was on call, where children aren't in our emergency room and require a hospital bed somewhere, including last night. And we're struggling every day to find the most appropriate inpatient placement for them.
Hyundai Canada has kicked off the hospital's $3.1 million fundraising campaign with a check for $500,000. And CEO Don Romano spoke of a family in his own community whose son recently took his own life.
I see that empty seat, and it reminds me of the things we could have done and the things that we will do in the future to make a difference.
And he encouraged other businesses to support the fundraising campaign.
And this is where they hope to begin construction on the new 6-bed inpatient unit, with shovels going in the ground in about a year and a half. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The Canadian Pediatric Society is issuing new orders to primary care providers. The guidelines call for them to screen all adolescent patients for eating disorders during routine checkups and other medical visits. The society says cases of eating disorders have skyrocketed since the pandemic. There are also new tips for parents. The guidelines say parents should seek medical attention for their teen if their teen has a significant weight change, fails to reach an expected height or weight, or is showing delays in puberty, has serious body image concerns, or if they have restrictive eating patterns or exercises obsessively. Officials say wait times for eating disorder programs have grown dramatically, and healthcare providers in the community can help by catching eating disorders early.
Hundreds of cyclists made their way to City Hall this morning on the annual Bike to Work Day. After gathering at 4 separate meeting points across the city, participants, including the mayor there, and members of City Council, cycled to Nathan Phillips Square, where they gathered for coffee and pancakes. Participants reflected on the experience of biking to work in the city.
It was really good. It was a really fun experience, riding with everyone and having this opportunity.
I'm glad it's back, and it's glad to be riding with the mayor, and good to see a lot of people out, and some first-timers.
It was great. I'm happy the rain held off, and it was really nice to see so many people feeling safe getting out onto their bikes in the city.
Citing 4 cyclist deaths over the last year, Mayor Chow said it's important for the city to keep working to make our streets safer.
A highlight of the cultural calendar in the West End is set to take over city streets this weekend. Due West Fest takes place along Dundas Street West in the heart of Little Portugal from Friday evening through Sunday evening. Organizers call it an annual celebration of arts, music, food, fun, and community. An estimated 750,000 people attended last year.
And whether you're attending Due West Fest or just passing through, Toronto Police are reminding drivers Dundas Street West will be closed for the event between Lansdowne Avenue and Shaw Street. North and southbound traffic will still be possible at some larger intersections, but east-west traffic will be barred from 1 p.m. tomorrow until 12 a.m. on Monday.
Well, it's a big day for Bell Media as the parent company of CTV News unveils the stars and shows that will hit the airwaves and streaming.
CTV's Andrea Case has been talking to some of the faces you will see on CTV and crave, and has this report.
Dinner time! Fine, I'll eat the way I'll die. Alone.
Wendy McClendon-Covey didn't have a lot of time to recover from a decade working on the sitcom The Goldbergs, but she wasn't about to rest on her residuals. She is stretching her funny bone once again in the new medical comedy, St. Denis Medical.
Honestly, my mental health dictates that I need to be working pretty much all the time. So when this came along, it was such a blessing and a diversion. And when I saw who else had been cast, it was like, oh, yes, okay, I can't say yes fast enough. To working with David Alan Grier and Alison Tolman. Hello, yes, please, tell me where to stand.
A game has come along so murderously fun, so deceptively wicked, and so dangerously addictive.
And Karine Van Ness is back hosting the Canadian version of the international hit game show, Traders.
We're so easily manipulated, and I think that we always forget that regardless of your job, regardless of your experience, of your age, of how intelligent and wise you are, you can be easily manipulated if you lose track of your own intuition.
Why spend your life on the road solving strangers' problems?
Justin Hartley's action-packed show Tracker catapulted onto TV screens right after the Super Bowl. It was an immediate hit for Hartley, who was just coming off the success of 6 seasons on This Is Us.
I love telling stories for an audience and having the reaction of the audience and having them really love what just happened and be entertained and maybe escape their lives for an hour. People are very, very busy nowadays.
Hartley will head back to Vancouver soon to start filming season 2 of Trackers. Andrea Case, CTV News.
Sitting down with a movie icon.
Beverly D'Angelo is coming to Niagara Comic Con, but first we'll sit down with her to talk about her memorable role.
On CP24 Breakfast, where Toronto gets its everything every morning.
The offers have strings attached. It doesn't matter what they're offering, but if and when it comes to actually signing a deal and you're looking at the paperwork and there's things there, we actually had things fall apart in less than 24 hours.
We're very serious about this. We do not want a labor disruption.
Updating our top stories, we are now mere hours from a possible transit strike that could cause major disruptions for millions of people across the GTA. Members of ATU Local 113 are in a legal strike position as of midnight tonight. At this point, both sides remain at the table.
I thought it was a firecracker coming across here, but then when I got the first hit, I realized that it was a gunshot.
What did you see?
So I say, let's run.
One of the 5 men shot in the parking lot of North Albion Collegiate on Sunday is speaking out for the first time. A prayer vigil and walk was held this afternoon to honor the 2 men who have since died of their injuries.
The numbers are staggering, but they're not surprising, and it confirms what we've been hearing from residents across the city and, in fact, the entire region. A 250% increase in travel time during peak periods is just devastating.
New numbers from a GTA company that tracks travel times by GPS shows just how slow the Gardiner is going since road work began. Commercial traffic numbers show drive times in the morning have increased by 250% and 230% in the afternoon. Lane closures are scheduled for the next 3 years, but city and provincial officials are working on ways to try and speed that up.
Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photo, or video of breaking news, please let us know.
Investors are worried about emerging competition for Canada's Lululemon, but the shares climbed today. Andrew Bellabian in Bloomberg brings us the latest in business.
Hello there. Lululemon stock rose 5% today after the company said strong international sales and new women's merchandise are lifting revenue. Bike shorts and loose-fitting pants have done well with women. The company is also wooing men with items for training and golf. Bloomberg columnist Andrea Felstead says Lulu can still produce hits, such as its workplace-suitable ABC pants, popular with Wall Street bankers. On the markets, the Canadian dollar was at 73.15 US cents, up about 1/10 of a cent. WTI oil, the North American benchmark, traded at $75.55, up $1.48. Our latest quote for Western Canadian Select oil is $59.86, down $1.85. And the TSX Composite ended at 22,229.1, up just over 84 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Well, many Canadians are paying slightly less on their mortgages and other loans as banks implement the long-awaited interest rate cut. Yesterday, the Bank of Canada cut its benchmark rate from 5% to 4.75. The big banking brands have all followed suit, leaving their prime rates at just shy of 7%. While loan terms can differ, prime rates help banks determine payments due on things like variable rate mortgages and lines of credit.
At Toronto City Hall, Council will soon consider a staff report that would revamp how rental housing is built and allocated to residents in need.
For decades, the City of Toronto has been approving more housing than any municipality in North America year after year after year, and yet we are in a housing crisis. And that's because we've been building the wrong housing for the wrong people.
City staff are proposing a new rental housing supply program that would support the development of rental housing projects and set new definitions for affordable rentals and rent-controlled homes while speeding up city reviews of rental housing projects. The report will go before council next week.
Just ahead, the top talent in pickleball converge in the GTA. Touted as Canada's first professional pickleball tour. We'll get in on the action just ahead.
Tonight, Renaud's recipe for survival.
فول الشكل بجنن الرائع اللذيذ.
Meet the Gaza girl finding comfort in cooking as she waits for the guns to fall silent later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News in 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special shout out to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010. It's been described as North America's fastest growing sport.
And over the next few days, you can take a look at some of the country's top pickleball players battling it out. CTV's Carol Charles caught some of the action.
The competition is fierce. And after a 15-minute battle on the court, Michael Mione and his partner Vince Lavoie were victorious.
I think we played at our best. We weren't sure how we were going to do because it was our first time together in tournament play. But we had success, and it's nice playing outside.
The inaugural CPA Pro Tour is underway in Oshawa, with over 400 avid pickleball players competing for cash prizes, national seeding points, and international ranking points. For some, like Ali Mione, the love of the sport is her reason for participating.
I'm addicted to pickleball, like addicted. Like my friends
outside of pickleball do not like me anymore because I'm always on the courts.
So you want to slice that. If it's very aggressive, you want to slice that.
And she's getting in some practice time with her son Michael, who won his earlier match.
I'm doing mixed doubles split age, so my partner's above 50 and I'm below 50, and then I'm doing women's doubles on Saturday.
Michael picked up the sport with encouragement from his mom. He will be advancing to the next stage in the tournament.
I enjoy how fast someone can get good. It's taken me a while to get where I am, but with any sport, it takes time.
The tournament is taking place on 14 dedicated pickleball courts, and organizers are excited with the level of participants.
The CPA Pro Tour is the first pro pickleball tour in Canada. So we have pros coming from all over the country and some from the U.S. to compete in this tournament. But we also have an amateur part to this tournament where people are competing in their own skill level.
If you want to take in some of the Pro Championship matches, you can stop by on Sunday here at the High Sports facility in Oshawa. Carol Charles, CTV News.
It really is addictive, pickleball.
It looks like so much fun. I keep meaning to sign up. There's a league near my house.
Do it.
There's something about the sound, though,
Right?
while you're playing. You just want to get involved. I don't know.
I'm so satisfying.
We could do an internal. We should start a team, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, all right.
We'll talk about that later. But your forecast for tonight, great for pickleball, inside or outside. There's no segue from that. I just really want to start playing pickleball. But it is going to be warm tonight. So just keep that in mind if you are spending time outside and you are going to be active. Hydration is key. That big line of showers, that's that cold front we had yesterday. It's moving out, but there's another one behind it set to bring some unsettled weather. For now, it's not so bad. 25, feels like 26. Everybody a little bit cooler as we head through the evening. As we step into the end of the week, some scattered showers off and on, pretty seasonal, and then we start to see a bit of a cool down heading in towards the end of the weekend, but I don't hate it. By Tuesday, it's nice.
Thanks, Jess. Be sure to join Morella Fernandez tonight at 11 for CTV National News, and you'll hear our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a good night.